Attention YouTube, I'm going to start putting this on all of my videos in a certain topic area. None of what I'm about to say is a lie. None of what I am about to say is false. I can prove everything I'm going to say is absolutely correct. I say this because when you decide to do whatever social media site is doing right now and say you've been reported, we're going to take your video down because we decided that accusations equal guilt, I will appeal. I will also be contacting someone who is very good in the legal field because I will be showing them this video because I save all of my videos. And I will be telling them what happened. And I will be telling them I do wish to file charges of harassment, slander, and defamation because by taking my video down and keeping it down, you are calling me a liar. And I am not lying. Again, I can prove everything I say in this video. So I would recommend, YouTube, that you adopt a policy of saying this. Your video has been reported to ensure that it does or does not violate our terms and conditions. It is under review. Then actually watch the video. When you see that I have not violated a single term or condition, don't take it down. I don't like that if you start doing that, someone will report every video I have and they'll all be under review and they'll all come back up. But I can live with being reviewed because at that point you're doing the right thing. You're saying, someone made an accusation, we're going to investigate. If you continue this road of accusation equals guilt, just accept that we're in charge and rule the world, one day it will not go well. That is not a threat. It is simply me telling you that I will no longer accept being told that I'm guilty until proven innocent. And you won't let me prove anything. Alright, welcome back. You can see the mess is getting better. There's actually no totes over here anymore. Just a few things I need to get. So things are taking shape. I've seen a couple of threads in the last several days. Either like the one on Quora that asked if socialism ever fully takes over and capitalism is basically banned, government owns everything, including the people, will black markets pop up everywhere? The answer to that is yes. At least until they're able to kill everyone who won't bend the knee. Others have been, why are you so resistant to socialism? Everybody works, everybody gets paid, everybody's equal. The answer to that one is very simple. All animals are equal. Some animals are more equal than others. I've read Orwell, Huxley, Bradbury, and I know good and well that socialism only works in two places. Heaven where it's not needed, and hell where you get exactly what happens every time. This, though, came from thinking about those questions while I was looking for something to watch off my hard drive while I ate dinner tonight. And I fell on Snowpiercer. The Chris Evans movie, not the series. Now, I've not read the book yet. I need to find a copy because, well, I want to read it. And I broke my rule and watched the movie before I read the book. And I don't like to do that. But the movie is a perfect example of socialism put into place. Wilfred runs the show. But he's paranoid. In the movie, he has one person that's allowed anywhere near him. And he's got that person basically brainwashed into thinking they're the only reason Wilfred stays alive, and that's their purpose, is to keep Wilfred alive. He uses children to keep the train running because they can't make any more parts. So he kills children slowly by making them part of the engine, and then just steals more children. He steals them from the peasant class. Evans, John Hurt is in this as well, but Evans and his rebellion slowly make their way from the back of the train to the engine. As they do, they learn many things. First of all, they're fed a protein bar. And then they found out what's in it. I'm guessing originally it might have been bugs, but it's also human remains from people who die on the train. But it's protein, keeps them alive. They're given no choice. That's what they eat. They eat that or starve. He does make reference to how he knows what people taste like, and he knows that baby tastes best. Because, well, in the waning days before all of that system took over, they cannibalized people because there was no other food. They see that there's an entire train car dedicated to raising fish. There's another car stocked with livestock meat, mostly beef. Eggs are a reward for children in the education car. Then they get into the other cars where people are being measured for a suit when they never leave the flipping train, where there's a, I would assume, 24/7 rave going on, where people are stoned out of their gourds. There's a spa car where they sit in this little steam saunas. Socialism in action. The vast majority of people are crammed into that back car, there to be slaves to the upper class. The upper class being the probably less than 10% of the humans on that train who eat good food, party, and live as royals. At one point they come in and they need a violinist. There's a man and his wife, both who play violin, and he says that she's a much better violinist, but his hands look stronger, so they assault her and crush one of her hands. She's no longer able to play, so they just drag him out. They drag a child screaming away from his mother because they have need of the child. At one point, as they're being harangued for not loving the people who subjugate them, somebody throws a shoe at the person issuing the diatribe. That person is punished by the loss of his arm. And then there's how all of it came to be. They talk about how in 2016, global warming had gotten out of hand. And the majority of countries decided they would jump on board and release a chemical into the upper or lower atmosphere, middle atmosphere probably, that would cool the planet to a manageable degree. But it ended up turning the planet into an ice block. And only Mr. Wilfred's train that never stops saved less than 0.1%, probably less than 0.01% of humanity. And they were never going to get off that train. If the train crashed, they died. That's what they were told. By the end of the movie, we see that life has returned to the outside, animal life. One might assume that bunkers had been around because this had only been a course from the release of the chemical to the end of the movie of about a decade and a half. If you have enough freeze-dried food and enough supplies otherwise, you can live 20, 30 years in a bunker. You're going to get a sunburn when you come out, but you can deal with that. So one might assume there are people who come out of their bunkers at some point. But it is a perfect example of what happens when socialism wins. Because socialism won. Because people just declared, no, there is no other way. No one has time to research. I am right. You will agree with me, or I will make you agree with me. And they released the chemical. They killed the planet. Or at least put it into a coma. Made it uninhabitable. So they got on their train, where all of those people who had caused this to happen lived the lives of royalty, while everyone else was subjugated. Okay, just fodder to be used. And when they died, ground into protein bars. The really sad thing is, there are people alive today. There are at least, I would say, a quarter to a third of the population who firmly believe that socialism will actually work when they are doing it, and that they won't allow it to be like Snowpiercer. They'll find the right chemical to cool the planet the right way, and if it goes wrong, it's your fault for not stopping them, so they still get to rule. It is circular logic. They literally believe that they are right because they say they're right, and they say they're right because they're right. I don't know that it will ever cease to amaze me that we get so many movies, books, TV series, streaming series, that quite literally warn us about the world that so many people on the planet today are demanding we allow them to create. And these series are created by the people who want to create those worlds. I've said for a while, Orwell, Huxley, Bradbury, Orwell of 1984 and Animal Farm. Huxley wrote Brave New World, Bradbury, Fahrenheit 451. The people in DC, London, Madrid, Beijing, Tokyo, Moscow, every other swamp on the planet. Those are the people who read those 4 books and saw, these are great ideas. We need to make sure this is what happens. And that happened a good, 70 years ago. And then they looked around and saw there's a fresh new crop of students entering college in the 60s. War had finally been televised, and there was protests against it. The third wave feminism, bra burning, all of it had taken hold on college campuses. So they sent people out to teach at college to reinforce all of that. Then all of their freshly frocked education majors were sent out to continue teaching the liberal way of life in elementary, middle, and high schools. And then send those students on to college to have it reinforced for another 4 to 6 years. And then send those people into education. So that now, 60 years after those first few entered the newly frocked liberal colleges, 60 years later, we have a world where people will flat out tell you, yes, it is absolutely perfect that we give someone a participation trophy and say that's just as good as first place. You sat on your butt and did nothing, but you got the trophy too. It's perfectly wonderful, and it's laudable, it's praiseworthy that we tell someone you may no longer compete because you win too often. It's perfectly wonderful and praiseworthy that we tell people with a legitimate, perfect 4.0, they're not allowed to be valedictorian alone. They have to have a co-valedictorian to make it equitable. When I graduated high school, the only reason for a co-valedictorian is they literally had an identical GPA. The year before I graduated, the valedictorian and the salutatorian were separated. I don't even know what it is, but I know they had to carry the GPA out to 7 places. It was 3.9, and they had to carry 6 more places to find out who had the higher GPA. And it was something like a difference of 2 or 3 at that 7th place. That's 10 millionths. I don't know. But today, they're just told, well, we have to be diverse and inclusive and equitable. And in order to be diverse, we have to tell you you can't be here. To be inclusive, we exclude you. To be equitable, you give things up. And they're so sure of their own infallibility because they say they're infallible, and they say it because they are, that if the good Lord tarries and this world spins on for another 100, 200, 300 years, they will end up causing an ecological disaster that kills 99% of life on this planet. And they won't even deny that they did it. Well, we had to do it. We would have been, all of us that are still here today would have been dead in another 10 years if I hadn't acted. Ignoring the countless years that we have heard. Every single year we have 10 years left. People like Barack Obama tell us that the seas are going to rise as they buy oceanfront property. You want to check sea level rise? Go to Plymouth Rock. I was set there when the settlers landed at Plymouth Rock. That monument has been there long before industrialism. And it's only covered at high tide, as it was when it was first put there. Tells me the seas haven't risen. Put a bunch of ice into a glass, as much as you can. Then fill that glass to the exact brim with water. Let it sit there. As the ice melts, does the water run over the glass? No. See, as ice melts, air is released. So it's more dense, not less dense, as ice is, less dense than water. And instead of overflowing, it simply becomes water, and the level stays the same. But we're told we cannot argue. Just as in 2020, we were told what to think about the certain situation that happened. Yet today, the CDC is issuing statements that are completely 180-degree shift. I used to say it's almost as if, but it is exactly as if the government has decided Janice is mild. I can be 12-faced and just tell them I have a right to be. I can tell them one thing, and whenever I decide, I can tell them the opposite. And I can tell them I was right when I told you the wrong thing, and I'm right when I tell you this. And that is what leads to a situation where the government will simply declare, we have discovered that we cannot provide your basic needs nor protect you due to the Constitution. So we have suspended it. It is gone. You have no rights. You will obey or you will be made to. Very shortly after that, the vast majority of the military, police, others will walk away from their jobs. The government will try to force them to return. They'll try to arrest them, but the people they want to be arrested would have to be arrested by the people they want to be arrested. So, they'll call in new people. They'll create a new force, completely staffed with people who are more than willing to do the killing as long as they can get their shilling. Well, that's the day Lexington and Concord looks like a lover's quarrel because you didn't put milk in the coffee. The only real question is which side you will be on when that day hits. I know where I'll be. And now for my normal close. I do not mind discussion, dissent, debate. I do not mind a conversation happening, as long as it is civil, logical, and reasoned. You can disagree with me all day long. Disagreement is not hate. But when you start jumping to toddlerish and childish, adolescent insults simply because I disagree with you, I will block you. As long as you remain civil, use your brain in a logical manner and a reasonable manner, we can disagree till the cows come home. A good debate teaches me more than any college class I took, because it forces me to go do my own research, and it forces you to do yours as well. So remember that everyone watching this and everyone commenting has a right to their own opinion, whether it matches yours or not. Until next time, wonderful day.